What's going on, YouTube? What it do, people? Checking in with y'all this morning. Eastbound through Ohio, man. Somewhat fresh off of home time. It's currently Sunday morning. I left out of my house Wednesday. The plan was actually to leave out last Friday. Reason being because the trainee I had agreed to pick up initially was going to be finishing up orientation and ready to be picked up on Friday, but that ended up falling through due to his wife not getting approved to come to prom. Obviously their plan and their goal is to team drive into Lease, so since they weren't both able to come to prom, I suggested that they look at Stevens Transport or KLLM or Swift. Those are the first three companies that came to mind because I know people that lease there and make out pretty well. So shout out to them, man. I hope it works out for them moving forward with their trucking journey. So once I got that news, I was like, well, ain't no point in me leaving out the house now. So I decided to stay home until Monday. Got up, was actually ready to go on Monday, was dispatched on a load to pick up. Good paying, high value load. Was paying like $1,300, going about 650 miles. But unfortunately, that load canceled around 6 p.m. So my fleet manager went on home, and night dispatch did not get me a load. So I ended up staying home until Tuesday before getting dispatched on another load to pick up. And went and picked up that load out of Smithfield, Virginia, and that load was going to Orange City, Iowa. So I picked it up out of Smithfield, came back home with it, stayed at home, got up Wednesday morning and left to go up to Iowa. Hold on for a second. Now see, this scene right here is gonna play or tie directly into what I'm gonna be talking about in a little bit. Truck that slid off the road into the ooh, that's bad. That looked really bad. So yeah, left out Wednesday. Got up to Iowa, man, Thursday night. Single digits or below zero the 2 days I was in Iowa. My bunk heater decides, I don't feel like doing this no more, man. You on your own. Calling it quits. So I get about 4 or 5 hours into my slumber. I'm sleeping damn good. And I wake up because I feel like I'm in an ice box about to freeze over. And look at my bunk heater controls, and it says that maintenance is required. Whatever the heating source is, it's not lighting, it's not kicking on. So the bunk heater was blowing out cold air. So that came after dealing with my reefer unit, well, not really the reefer unit, but the battery in the reefer unit essentially calling it quits itself with the unit running on start stop. I'm gonna blame it on the cold temperatures because the battery basically just wasn't, it was losing too much, it was losing charge. So when the unit shut down and got ready to start back up, it wasn't enough charge to start the unit up. So I had to jump it, I think twice that night, and ultimately 4 times before I was able to get to a truck stop and get it repaired or get it replaced, which is what I did last night when I stopped in Dayton, Ohio. But the only good thing was that the weather was what it was, the temperature was what it was, because these trucks have the idle shutdown. But when the temperature is below a certain point, or when it's above a certain point, the truck will actually idle. It'll override the idle shutdown itself. So since it was so cold out in Iowa, I was able to at least idle the truck to keep warm. So with that said, I went, picked up the load, or delivered that load, picked up the load I have now. Didn't get a lot of sleep those 2 nights, Thursday night and Friday night. And we fast forward to what the situation was last night, where I definitely stayed up too long, watching and being entertained by my dude, a trucker named Jay's live feed last night. I called in and was just in the chat box and everything. So by the time I got ready, or by the time I realized I'd been up too long, I had basically winded my time down to 3.5 hours of sleep. Had my alarm set for 1:20 in the morning. I'm OCD with certain things, and quadruple checking my alarm at times is one of them. Like, I can't go to sleep in confidence until I know for sure my alarm is set and it's on, and I gotta check it multiple times, which I did. And you know, last time I checked it, it was set for 1:20. It was on. When I clicked the save button, it said you got 3 hours and 15 minutes of sleep before the alarm goes off. So it wasn't as cold in Dayton, Ohio as it was in Iowa, so apparently it wasn't below that minimum threshold, so the truck would not idle for me last night. So the temperature was like low to mid 20s, so I had to sleep with no heat source other than body heat. So last night I slept in my sweatpants, my hoodie with my hood on and drawn up tight, some winter socks I got, and I was in the fetal position pretty much underneath my comforter. It went a lot better than I thought it was gonna go. Keep it 100. I thought it was gonna be a lot colder than it was. It was still cold, you know, but it went better than I expected. So anyways, I wake up, you know, without the alarm going off, and y'all know how it go, man. Sometimes you wake up, you know, 5 minutes, hell, 1 minute before your alarm go off. So that's what I kind of thought when I woke up. And the first thing I thought was, man, I feel pretty well rested to only have gotten about 2.5 hours of sleep. So I reach over and grab my phone thinking that the alarm hadn't gone off yet. It is 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, hold up, 5 o'clock? The alarm never went off. I didn't snooze it. You know, so I'm just going to chalk that up to God looking out, and I'm going to refer back to the scene we just drove by with that truck that slid off the road into the ditch and jackknifed in the ditch. Actually, it looked pretty bad. Y'all couldn't see it on with the camera where it is, but it looked pretty bad. Hopefully the driver is okay. But I'm going to chalk it up to God, saying, man, look, you really didn't get that much sleep the previous 2 nights in Iowa, and you only really got about, if my alarm had gone off when it was supposed to, I really only would have gotten about 2 hours and some change worth of sleep, because I tossed and turned for a while before I was able to go to sleep. So who knows, man, with the roads being slick, with me not being fully rested, that might have been me off in the ditch right there. So I'm going to chalk that up to and credit that to God looking out, and basically saying, look, you need more than this 2 hours of sleep you're going to get. So got up, got moving around 5:30, and this load is going to Syracuse, New York. Had I gone straight to Syracuse, New York, I'd have been getting there probably about 11 o'clock this morning. Never mind, 11 o'clock this morning. That would have been the time I would have gotten there had I not overslept. At this point, I would have been getting there around, you know, 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But I would have been sitting there for basically over 40 hours, because the delivery appointment is Tuesday morning and Sunday morning. So I'd have been sitting there the rest of Sunday, all of Monday before delivering Tuesday morning. Or I could go home and spend 30 hours at home, and more importantly, pick up my space heater, because my first winter out here on the road, I didn't know how to work the bunk heater. My first trainee, Myron, actually hit me up when he upgraded and got into his own truck after he figured out how to work it. I thought the heater was controlled by the APU controls that we use for the AC and everything. So when it kept blowing out cold air, I figured that it was broke or whatever. So I just bought a space heater, and the space heater I bought was only about $12 out of Home Depot, and it did a great job. And then obviously, you know, like I just said, Myron told me how to work the bunk heater, so left the space heater at home. My advice, wintertime, buy a space heater and keep it on deck just in case. So I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna spend about, at this point, probably about 28 hours instead of about 32 or 33 hours at home. Get my space heater, and I'll leave out Monday evening around 7:30 to go up to Syracuse and deliver this load Tuesday morning. It was a rough couple days for me in Iowa, man. It was a rough couple days for me in Iowa, but made it through. Made it through as I always do. And gonna actually be picking up another trainee. In the beginning of the video, I told y'all about the one that I agreed to that fell through. Over the last 2 or 3 weeks with my previous trainee on board, Kwaku, he was really trying to get me to train his friend who starts orientation tomorrow. He was actually supposed to start orientation last week, but something happened, so he's gonna start tomorrow. And I told him, I said, look, if something changes, if things fall through, then I'll holler at you. I'll pick your guy up. But I'm a man of my word, and I had already given that dude, I believe his name is Ariel. I had already given him my word that I would train him. You know what I mean? So, but things fell through, and worked out for me because now I'll be picking up this guy on Friday. He'll be on board and probably until early April, more than likely, and that'll get me through most of the winter, to be honest. And which is another reason why I ain't really worried about trying to go get this bunk heater fixed. I'm just gonna grab my space heater and ride out with that, because once I get another trainee on board, man, it's not gonna be a whole bunch of time spent sitting idle where we might actually need the bunk heater. And if that does happen, you do get in situations where you arrive 10 hours, 8, 9, 10, 11 hours ahead of schedule. I'll have the space heater on deck to keep us warm and everything. So but yeah, it worked out for me, man. I'm gonna pick this dude up on Friday, get back on the training tip, man, and I'm just trying to finish out the winter safe and sound, and finish out the remaining months of the lease, making as much money as I possibly can, and most importantly, doing everything safe, getting everything done safely. So that's what I've been up to, man, since coming out of the house. Like I said, it was a little rough on me out in Iowa, but made it on through. With that said, man, I'm gonna talk long enough. Got another video or two in mind I'm gonna make this week and get uploaded this week, hopefully. And yeah, so until then, y'all know what it is. As always, it's your man JMV. Y'all be easy.